Hey guys, HDV here and welcome to a brand new video. Today we've got a ton of new stuff to go over. New events have been announced. We obviously have some Nintendo Switch 2 leaks to go over, because when don't we have Switch 2 leaks to go over? We also have Legends EA stuff as well. There's a lot of things to break down and get into, so if you're excited for the video, make sure to drop a like down below. Let's try and hit 500 likes, it really helps out. Leave a comment with your thoughts on anything we cover in today's video. Subscribe if you're brand new, ring the notification bell. With all of that out of the way, let's get into the video and I really hope that you enjoy. So, starting things off, let's go over the new community day that has just been announced for Pokemon Go. We've got Cerebi here tweeting out saying, Cerebi update, the Pokemon Go community day on January the 5th, 2025 will focus on Sprigatito, and it runs from 2 PM to 5 PM local time. So they're just skipping past the Galar starters straight into the Paldea starters, and Sprigatito is the first Pokemon to get a community day. So obviously, increased shiny chances, all that stuff. Let's take a look at the other event kind of bonuses. So January 2025 Community Day Sprigatito, 2 PM to 5 PM local time as always. So Sprigatito will appear more frequently in the wild. The featured attack is Frenzy Plant for Florigato. And then obviously we have the event bonuses as well, which is 3 times Stardust for catching Pokemon, 2 times Candy for catching Pokemon, 2 times chance for trainers level 31 and up to receive XL candy from catching Pokemon. Learn modules activated during the event will last for 3 hours. Incense, excluding daily adventure incense, activated during the event will last for 3 hours. Take a few snapshots. Additional special trade. Trades will require 50% less Stardust. There's going to be field research tasks, Pokestop showcases, event bundles, all that jazz. It's cool to get a starter, but yeah, a bit harsh on the Galar starters not getting the community day treatment yet. But anyway, that's the new event for Pokemon Go. Moving on, we have some new Nintendo Switch 2 leaks to go over. As always, I feel like I'm covering this every single day, but that's just because new information is out every single day. I don't know how long it's going to go on for, probably until the actual console gets announced. That's what it seems like, because there's just so much information every day. But anyway, this time we have an article here. This was posted by Centro Leak saying The Verge has published an article about the Switch 2 Reddit leak with more details. So I am now largely convinced that next handheld is legit. And then this also reconfirms that the Switch 2 logo does in fact look like this. So this is gonna be this is gonna be revealed basically with the console. This is gonna be the logo of the Switch 2. Again, this is just a mock-up, but it's basically gonna have the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons, Nintendo Switch under it, and then a big fat 2 next to the Joy-Cons as well. That's what the logo is gonna look like. But anyway, let's take a look at this article. So this is kind of piggybacking off what the Reddit post said, but also with added information. Again, the Reddit post is seemingly legit, so everything that they've spoken about is all kind of correct. Again, we won't know 100% until obviously we see the announcement of the Nintendo Switch 2, but you can kind of expect that to all be actual information that we are expecting to see. But anyway, the Nintendo Switch 2 and its dock as described by the mystery Reddit leaker. So I am now largely convinced that next handheld is legit. So last Friday, we brought you leaked dimensions of the next Nintendo Switch from the most likely source yet, a 3D scan of the actual hardware obtained by case manufacturer D-Brand, but case manufacturers aren't the only source of leaks. So a Redditor named Next Handheld claims to have seen and touched an actual final retail unit of the Nintendo Switch 2. I spoke with them and I've now heard and seen enough to think they might be legit. So this is like more information from this leaker that was given to The Verge, basically, and now they're kind of writing it up. But anyway, in particular, I've seen 2 photos of a possible Nintendo Switch 2 dock and 1 photo of the inside of a possible Switch 2 controller rail, covered in certification, logos, and with copper contacts exposed, which also shows its metal kickstand hinge open at an angle. So notably, the dock was not included in the 3D scan that's circulating among case manufacturers. So if Next Handheld is telling the truth, we now know a good bit more about Nintendo's next console. For example, as much as we'd love for it to be called the Super Nintendo Switch, it'll likely be introduced to the Nintendo Switch 2. I don't think anybody wants it to be called that. I think most people are just absolutely fine with the Nintendo Switch 2. It's easy, it's chronological, it makes the most sense. Nintendo Switch 2 is an absolutely fine name. So name and date. So officially, Nintendo has only called it the successor to the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch promised to formally announce the new console by the 31st of March 2025, and revealed that it will be backwards compatible with original Switch games. So unofficially, Next Handheld's console, Next Handheld source has heard it might be announced as soon as January, and shared what they claim is first-hand evidence with The Verge that it is the Nintendo Switch 2. I saw a picture of a dock with the same logo as the original Nintendo Switch, only with a 2 attached. It wasn't far off from this Redditor's guess. So again, this isn't an official logo, this is their sort of mock-up of it, but it's basically going to look like this. Maybe the 2 is going to be a little bit wider or something, but this is basically what it's going to look like when it does finally get revealed. So while Next Handheld says they're disappointed that the dock doesn't seem to have any more ports than the original, which is a little bit unfortunate. 2 USB-A, 1 HDMI, 1 Ethernet, and 1 USB-C, likely used for its power brick. It may have a different trick up its sleeve. I mean, the original didn't have the Ethernet, the original Switch. Obviously, the Switches after that had it, but the original Switch dock does not have that Ethernet cable, because mine doesn't, and mine's the original Switch. But obviously, they have had that in the future editions of the Switch. But anyway, it says magnetic controllers finally with drift resistant joysticks. So in April, Spanish pub Vandal, which correctly reported minor details of the Switch OLED before launch, reported that, incredibly, Nintendo might replace the Switch's controller rails with magnets, so your Joy-Cons are can magically snap into place. Today, it no longer seems incredible because the photo I saw of a joystick rail region contains no rail. It's just a long, rounded, hollow area with a 13-pin connector that sticks out so it can slot into the Joy-Con. So Next Handheld says there's a physical magnetic click when you attach them, and you'll press a much larger button on the controller, one that's physically connected to a magnet, to release. You can see mock-ups of such buttons in our D-Brand story. So more importantly, the Nintendo Switch 2 might finally get rid of the infamous Joy-Con drift that plagues its controllers to this day. Next Handheld claims the controllers will have magnetic Hall effect joysticks, which don't contain the same deteriorating sensor material and can be recalibrated easily. And we also have a U-shaped kickstand, so we obviously went over these images relatively recently as well. So the original Nintendo Switch had a tiny, easy-to-topple gum stick of a kickstand, and the Switch OLED had a wide, flat plate, but the Nintendo Switch 2 will feature a U-shaped rail of a kickstand, according to a photo that Next Handheld shared with me. So this person's seen the photos, which, again, this person, Next Handheld, is not obviously showing these publicly. They're only showing them to certain people, like the mod of that Reddit page, this person here as well. I understand that the 3D CAD file shows the U-shape too, and case manufacturers have begun sharing images of similar U-shaped kickstands too, but it looks like it could be a beefier than some of the mock-ups floating around. And then also extra power when docked. So once upon a time, Nintendo was reportedly planning to release a Nintendo Switch Pro, one that would output 4K graphics when docked to your TV, at least partly thanks to Nvidia's DLSS AI upscaling. That didn't happen, but the Nintendo Switch 2's dock might be designed to let the handheld run a bit faster. So on Reddit, Next Handheld cryptically teased that asking if the dock had a fan was the right question, and in a picture shared with The Verge, I can see the alleged dock has big feet around back, one's positioned so it can lie down horizontally without blocking a set of vents. While I don't imagine you'd intentionally put it on the back, as the handheld might fall out of the completely open slot up top, I can imagine Nintendo wanting to make sure the console doesn't overheat if you accidentally knock it over. So intriguingly, Next Handheld says the dock is rated for 60 watts, while the Switch 2 is rated for 45, both of which would be substantially higher than the original if true. The original Switch had an unusual 39 charger for both docked and handheld modes, which only provided up to 18 watts for the handheld. So there's many things we still don't know, so you can dig through Next Handheld's Reddit comments or read this early summary for a lot more possible details about the new console, but the Redditor is upfront that they never got to turn the handheld on or play any games. They don't know whether a Switch 2 can play original Switch cartridges or only digital Switch games. They don't know if it has a microphone or a camera or how much storage space it has, or its performance, or anything about its reportedly 8-inch screen, or its launch titles. They do say it will launch in dark grey, however, like the original Nintendo Switch, and then it will be followed by a white model, and one themed with a Nintendo game that hasn't received a themed Switch yet, which is Mario Kart 9. and they're the latest to possibly corroborate a new second USB-C port on the top, that this was obviously revealed in the 3D scan. If it's true that Nintendo will announce the Switch 2 in January, though, you won't have to wait much longer for answers or to find out if these ones are true. So, a bit more information there about the Nintendo Switch 2. Again, we're getting every single day now. Let me know your thoughts on it, though. We have a few other kind of tidbits about it as well. We've got Stealth here saying, one of the best things being said about the Switch 2 is the rumored magnetic Hall effect joysticks. No more Joy-Con drift will be a thing of the past. And then as well as that, we also have this information here, which could kind of correlate to sort of the release window of this console. But basically, we have Necro Felipe here saying, according to a source from Micromania, which is a French retailer, Nintendo is not allowing its sales team to go on vacation between March and May 2025. This could be indicative of the Switch 2's launch window. So it makes sense that if they're not allowed to go, like the sales team as well, are not allowed to take vacations between these months, something big's got to be happening within those months for the sales team to need to be in like the offices and stuff. So it makes sense that that's probably the window where they are going to release it, which lines up with a lot of what other leakers have said. Between March and May 2025, the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to release. That's what a lot of them have said. Some have said a little bit later, some have said a little bit earlier, but the fact that the sales team are not allowed to take time off, it's just like another reason as to why the Switch 2 is probably going to come out around that time. So that's all the Switch 2 stuff that I wanted to go over today. Let me know your thoughts on everything that we've covered in regards to what they've spoken about to The Verge, and then also like this extra Switch 2 stuff here as well. Finishing things off, I wanted to go over a couple of more like Pokemon things in regards to Legends ZA and also this as well. So we have Soul Silver out here tweeting out saying, whispers floating around about seeing something related to the beast in Pokemon Horizons. So imagine we see this literal fake beast in action. At least hopefully we see the Paradox beasts. So obviously this was from the Scarlet book in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, where they're all fused together. You could have seen this at the very start of the game as well. Like when you go to the library in the Academy, you can actually see the books for this. Obviously you have one for this and then one for the Swords of Justice. And then obviously Who Said That? Haven't seen anything on it. The usual anime Pokemon leakers. No context for the image though, so it's up in the air. So potentially we might see this in the anime, which would be really, really cool. And then finishing things off, I wanted to quickly go over this as well, which is also from Soul Silver saying, just to be clear, I'm still 99% convinced that there won't be any regional forms in Pokemon Legends ZA, especially because when you count the Paldea one by new designs, they actually got 5 new ones. And to me, this kind of sucks, specifically for the starters. Obviously, if a starter gets a Mega Evolution, it doesn't necessarily mean they'll never get a new regional form after that. But having a Mega like the Kanto or Hoenn starters definitely makes them less likely to get a new form in the future, or at least until every starter gets a new form. Also, I obviously personally prefer regional forms over Megas as they are more permanent. And of course, I'm talking about if we get a mixed starter trio in ZA. If we just get the Kalos starter trio, I do think it's a bit more acceptable for them to get Megas, since Megas originated in their games. I just don't love the thought of it if one of my favorite starters gets a Mega in ZA, but then after ZA I don't get to see or use that Mega again for 10 years. Again, I'm kind of against this narrative that we're not going to see Mega Evolutions for like another decade. I think that it's going to be in Generation 10. I think it just doesn't make sense for them to make this competitive thing and then not allow us to use it for ages. Like, if your favorite Pokemon is, I don't know, Greninja, Delphox, or Chestnut, whatever, let's say they do get a Mega Evolution, you're not going to be able to use it for 10 years. It's just, like, super dumb when it's a competitive aspect. Like, it's supposed to be used for online battling. So, in my opinion, again, I could be completely wrong, I just think in Generation 10, you're going to have that gimmick, and then you're also going to have Mega Evolutions post-game as well, just like we got in Pokemon Sun and Moon, where you can then use the new gimmick, but then you can also Mega Evolve as well. It would allow us to have all of those Pokemon that can Mega Evolve in Legends ZA in Generation 10, Mega Evolving in competitive online battles. We'll get the abilities for, I mean, then we might get abilities and stuff in Legends ZA. It's hard to say as of right now. But yeah, I cannot see us not getting Mega Evolution until, because if we don't get it in Generation 10, we probably won't get it until Generation 6 remakes, which again is not going to be, like I say, for another 10 years, because Generation 5 remakes are probably going to be 2028, and then it's going to be, yeah, another few years at least after that before we even think about Generation 6 remakes. So having to wait all that time to use one of your favorite Pokemon that gets a new Mega Evolution just doesn't really sit right with me. I feel like we're definitely going to be able to use them in Generation 10. And we've had it in the past as well. Like 2 gimmicks in one game. It's not crazy to assume that we could get that again. And in the meantime, there's going to be less of a chance for it to be in contention to get a new form upcoming games. It just ends up feeling like my starter never really got a form in the first place. Again, this is only if you can't use them, but I don't agree with this narrative. I think we will be able to use them in Generation 10. I could be wrong. Obviously, I have no idea. But for me, it just doesn't make sense to make a new competitive thing and then not being able to use that competitive thing online for like a decade. It's just dumb. So hopefully they don't do that. But anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Let me know what you guys think, though. Do you think that they're just going to only have these Mega Evolutions in this game and then that's it? You're not going to use them anywhere else after Legends ZA? Or do you think they're going to be available in Generation 10 as well? But let me know your thoughts on that. Also the Switch 2 stuff. And then obviously the Pokemon Go Community Day. But thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, drop a like. Let's try to hit 500. Leave a comment with your thoughts on anything that we covered. Subscribe if you're brand new. Ring the notification bell for daily Pokemon content. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And until next time, peace.